Hi, I'm Liz.
And I'm Rhea.
Welcome to Karma's My Bitch, a podcast about
sex,
love,
magic,
desire,
purpose,
bliss,
and how life isn't simply the stories we tell ourselves. One of my main stumbling blocks, which I've always kind of had in my head, even throughout this whole process, throughout everything. The life sucks before you die. Yeah, I mean, it's a fairly accurate depiction. All you have to do is open your eyes and look around the world. You're like, yeah, that's fair. And then because of that, you can't actually be happy or look for happiness without suffering first. But then on the other side, there's this knowing that happiness is possible. And so I think for a long time, I was playing between the two of, I know, and I've always known ever since I was a child, life can be beautiful. Mm-hmm. But my eyes and my mind tell me otherwise. So that means I was looking to suffering to redeem me. That might come at the end of this life, or it might even come in the afterlife. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is that we don't end up regarding the possibility of true happiness with much weight or seriousness.
Oh no, it's like it's an endeavor of the flighty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the pursuit of the privileged.
It is.
I'm deemed as extra flighty because of what I choose to do with my life. Mm-hmm. Why, after all the other things you've achieved, all the other things you've fought for, all of what you stand for, mm-hmm. you're now talking about spirituality and happiness.
Or bliss.
Yeah, or bliss, yes, true. And that one too, you know. But actually, my argument, and it's what I've been thinking recently, is that it doesn't really matter. Happiness is a universal thing. Mm-hmm. You know, you could have very little, but have a moment with someone you love. Are you not allowed to do that? Are you not allowed to be happy in those moments? Because everything else is shit? We can worry about the safety of our family and still find happy moments. And actually denying those happy moments because we need to suffer a bit more to prove that we deserve to be happy, mm-hmm. ends up doing a disservice to everyone involved, not just us.
Yeah.
What we see with the younger generations is that they're showing us that this old school, and I count myself within the younger generations in case anyone was wondering, but this old school idea of one job until you die and it's got to be painful. You suffer till you retire and then you can go spend your money. The wife is the ball and chain. How much of that rhetoric is just pain now, relief later? Mm-hmm. Everything around us has ascribed to this kind of like life is shit and then you die model. It's that kind of delayed gratification that things will get better when, but that has never served us.
No, the things get better when. It's like when you die.
And even then, maybe they won't because you're dead. We end up pushing off the things that matter. And I remember having this big realization with you where I just looked at you, I was like, I am always in the before. I'm never in the after.
Yeah.
You know, you have the before picture and the after picture. I live in the before. And so I've become so scared of the after almost, because then what happens? That I'm not allowing myself to actually have all the things I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting for me to be perfectly ready for them or perfectly healed for them. And it's all bullshit.
Or because you can't anticipate what the after looks like. I may not be better off, which as we know, many books and episodes later, that's really one's karmic reality. That's not what we have to know as our full, true, divine reality. Those two just don't line up because we know the karmic reality is the one that is not true.
And also we know that experience makes normal. So nothing's ever going to be so shockingly great that you're going to pass out from shock. It's just you naturally keep moving and things keep getting better and better. They do. And you just have to allow, sometimes you have to allow to see that it's already there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have to allow yourself to get there.
Yeah.
Because for the person who waited until retirement to spend their money, well, your money is massively depreciated. To the person who, the ball and chain wife one day will enjoy each other's company, what's the likelihood of that happening? Like when you keep waiting for things to shift outside of you, to therefore give yourself permission to be happy, or
pursue it. Pursue the things that you think will be part of that happiness, whatever it is.
Yeah, what a waste.
It really is. It's a waste.
And I remember saying this to my mum years ago, and I was like, there's no limit on fun. There is actually no limit on fun. There's no limit to good things. We've told ourselves that, you know, you rise and then you fall, and like we've done this up and down, but that's the flip-flop version of karma.
Yeah.
It's all the old shit that we've been carrying that if it worked, we would be happy and we would not need any of the myriad of industries out there that
Yes.
are trying to assuage it. We would not have the pharmaceutical industry booming, the wellness industry booming, the spirituality industry booming. Everyone would be like, look at me. I followed the formula. Here is my partner. Here are my 2.4 children. Here is my job in the bank. Here is my party. I'm so happy. Life is great. If it worked, we wouldn't be looking to change it.
Right.
But we are constantly looking to give ourselves permission to change it because it does not work. And that is because we are each as individual and unique, which means our version of happy, our version of what that looks like cannot be the same as someone else.
No.
And the truth is, whilst we keep saying that we have more experience and the young don't know what they're talking about, again, I'm talking myself as young.
Yeah. They're
The
just
truth
naive.
is-
They're so naive.
Yeah. But
And
the
they don't
truth is,
get it.
they just have less experience in separation.
Yeah, exactly.
So they actually have more freedom.
yeah.
And it's not working out for them. It is. So maybe actually it's about looking at them differently.
So what ends up happening in the end is that you have the older generations and younger generations pretty much existing in disparate realities, right?
Yeah. No, entirely.
One is like really like tethered to separation and its tenants, and the other is just like, yes, but there's this whole other world. And so what those of us who understand both, maybe grew up in one, but like you said, is definitely on the younger side, you end up straddling both. The thing is, we're going to end up seeing these disparate realities more and more within New Age spirituality.
I'm not surprised.
It's going to really, interestingly, it'll start dating itself by 2030. It is really difficult to straddle both worlds because you know one, like in your heart what feels right, and not as a codependent or coping mechanism, but in your heart what's really possible is wholeness. But you're having to, have your 9-to-5 job to support your family, or you need the health insurance, etc. So a part of your soul is like challenged, or part of your power is chipped away to be able to exist in that world. So I think
That's
for
really
for some people, it is really difficult to do. When we say older generations, we can say boomers. A lot of them are retired and they're just kind of sitting around, maybe complaining like young people don't know how hard it was. They're not wrong. They're definitely not wrong. But young people don't have to know how hard it is because they're wired differently.
It starts this weird chasm of others again.
To older generations' credit, it's not as if younger generations have it all right. They carry within them the blueprint, but how that blueprint gets expressed and how accurately it gets expressed depends upon how corrupted they've become or influenced they've become.
A bit like the last episode we were talking about how we want love, but we express it through games and shit.
Yeah. So, whatever world, household, community that they've grown up in, have they adopted otherness? Have they taken on their parents' karma? Have they fallen
Spend
under...
too much time on like the two sides of social media, and the algorithm has sent them down a path.
Exactly. So we're not saying that generation knows everything and has all the answers. It has more to do with just where their wiring lies in those who are healed and have remained healed, and what they're expressing and what those differences are. And so we're just trying to explain that. Now, when it comes to New Age spirituality not being able to keep up, say by 2030, it has to do with the fact that they really won't be able to fit vibrationally with these young ones coming in.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like people are just going to look at it and be like, no, it's easier than that.
Yeah. Just it won't compute.
It's a bit like what we talk about at the end of Adventure. I'm really referencing our books. A lot of the old age, a lot of the New Age spirituality follows very similar to either religion or some kind of twisted version of a rules-based doctrine that doesn't really flow with the concept of God, fate, and choice in the same way. There's, you can look at something like manifestation, which is, you've got to pass the tests, or don't settle, which is its own thing, because effectively don't settle is settle your ego. So that's really why. And I always thought it was interesting how they said settle the ego, because it reminded me of settling, but now I understand what that means.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that don't settle is your ego is telling you not to settle for something that doesn't fit with the image of you.
Yes.
Where actually it's an open mind and an open heart, and you don't know what will suit you until you find out. So that idea of just magic does not fit the way we teach magic and the way we use magic. So then you're going to have all these people coming through going, wait a second, I'm just in flow. I don't need any of this. what ends up happening is that it ends up catering for the people who are still mired in their issues and not being able to free it. So the older generation stops being like the boomers and starts being all the people our age who really bought into religion repackaged, where we know there's something out there that's divine, but we can't quite touch it because we still need an intermediary.
Because we aren't ready to fully release ourselves from separation. What bridges the two, interestingly, is purpose.
Interesting. Go on.
So, you know, when you have the older generation and the younger generation, each kind of holding the essence of their different worlds, what bridges disparate realities is purpose. Because purpose is to serve. So in the end, even if we're coming from different backgrounds, different philosophies, you know, sort of distinct values, in the end, if I am firmly rooted in my purpose, which is to serve, we will find common ground. Because we're not thinking about what is serving ourselves and the individual as much as what is going to serve the greater whole. And that's that common ground that we can eventually get to if we so choose and we can get our heads out of our asses.
Everyone thinks they have the answer to how to serve, and therefore the other person is wrong. And you have to understand that in a community, whether it's as big as the world or whether it's as small as your village, in a community of different people, different ways to serve will always be needed at the same time.
Absolutely.
So whilst one, and that's why I won't kind of disparage that spirituality, because there were some people who are still in that space, it will serve them until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And for some people who, you know, they will evolve just like I did, right? There was we joke about, I literally thought guidance was like Big Daddy. Like, I really did. I was like, I mean, you know.
Oh, to be fair, though, a lot of people do because of their notion of God.
Yeah.
So, and God is in the heavens and the clouds. And
I just had like severe immersion therapy to kind of go, wait a second, no. Because as we said in season 8, I believe,
in the end, the relationship shifts so that they can be in service to us.
We're the ones embodied. It's just shifting and understanding who we are here and what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And that involves everything, because once you start unpicking and examining why you behave in a certain way, and you start seeing how that's actually informed by everything outside of you, the rules only have power when you subscribe to them. There would be no armies if no one wanted to fight.
But it's not so much they want to fight as much as they feel they have something to protect, which means they feel they have something to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, but it's if everyone all of a sudden just went, no, I'm not picking up the bayonet. Anyway.
Since I get to be the one who like delivers weird news.
Off we go.
I know. I feel like you did like all this like beautiful work, and you so eloquently expressed the theme of this episode. Life doesn't have to suck. I get to share this bit, which I'm like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm just going to caveat this statement. So on the path to bliss, we're rapidly approaching what I find really interesting. So it's a possible leap in our evolution where we either catch the train or we miss it.
As a collective. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're missing it.
I mean, it's individually, but I want to say it could be collective.
Liz, we haven't made any collective deadlines since we started this process. What makes you think we'll make this one?
So individually, it could be collective, so they're not going to say no to that, but definitely individually. So it'll just be that clear cut and simple by 2028. We're either going to join the pursuit of our own happiness, with which comes the fulfillment of our purpose and joy in relationships and harmony, or we're just going to find ourselves climbing that endless mountain of sand. I'm just really sorry about that.
But I don't get it. Well, surely there's always a chance. Why would that? Why? Because you get so mired. Because you get so mired in it, you can't see. Your awareness will not be able to shift bigger.
I'm like, can you find a more eloquent way to put it? Because yeah, pretty much. Like, okay, I'm going to put it in another way. In the end, and it's not the end of times, but you know, we are in that sort of end of days unraveling bit. The point of that has to do with the fact that at some point, if we really can't pull it together to want our happiness, to want something better for the world, to want what's best for my neighbor as much as I want it for myself, or for those I love and care about, what is left, Rhea? What is going to be left of our own world if we are that self-focused that we cannot give a shit about other people?
I'm just like, it's not going to happen.
And it may not happen, and that's okay. But it doesn't mean that that locks you individually out of bliss at all.
But does that mean the 5D, is this the 3D, 5D shifting?
No, this is 5D beyond.
Okay.
So we still have 5D foundational stuff, right? Now, you have to build a solid foundation, which is why all this stuff is coming up and surfacing, because you cannot build on top of shit.
Agreed.
It's like building on, it's like going to a landfill and trying to build on top of all that garbage. It's not solid. So you're having to clear out all that detritus so you can really establish that solid foundation. And we're doing it all at the same time. It's kind of like lay a brick, let other stuff come up so you can lay the next brick, right? But if we cannot holistically hold that oneness foundation, we're going to have to kind of have our own bricks and build from that individually as opposed to collectively. We can only give ourselves so much time before we just end up repeating and remaining in the same loops.
That's true. I bitch about this a lot.
Because at
some point you just have to go.
You just have to go. And if you didn't get the information you needed from that, at some point you will. Either you're going to have an opportunity to go back to pick out that one piece, as you do when, on the path to bliss, or somewhere along the line, that information will drop and you'll get it because your evolution depends upon it. Yeah. But we do have to continue to move forward. So, of course, there's just going to be this window of time where can we pull it together? Can all these disparate realities that exist among the different generations somehow hold it together enough? Thread these realities close enough through purpose, through a sense of, collective, I want better for somebody, myself included. Can we do that? That's
even if it's just, I want better for my kids. Is that enough?
Oh, yeah, it's great. But, of course, if we're going to go down this road, we want more. The divine wants more. It wants all of its power. So when it comes to bliss, we need that collective. We need the broader, we need the broader space because we have to experience the full breadth of our divine power. Bliss, as we've always said, even in oneness, you want the horizontal model. But what we're looking at more and more is we're seeing the return of the vertical model, the vertical redemption. It's what a lot of people know. Because we're having to see that religion tentpole. We have to contend with it again. So fun. I love how you're like, you just blank stare. You just got really tired. Your eyes just went. There are just so many faiths around this religion tentpole. Yeah, and all of the practices that are structured. So whether it's New Age spirituality that is kind of tagged on and tethered itself to it.
Yeah, as we said, religion 2.0.
Exactly. We have to understand that in the end, it is not through suffering that we will ever achieve bliss.
No, you've got to build on the happy and keep getting happier. I learned when I followed my heart and it worked out. That was the learning. I learned through joy. I didn't learn through pain. I told my pain, something's better than this.
Yeah.
And then I found that better.
Yeah.
That better taught me how to be even better again.
Yeah. Because what I find interesting is when you really are in the throes of your pain, in that bleak, dark hole, just imagine for a moment the divine power. So fucking powerful, it creates this world in which separation can rule so it can experience itself. Powerful to be able to contribute to and create a variety of realities so it can experience its vast will. That's massive. Now, all it wants to do is come back to itself. To be able to come back to itself, yes, you kind of have to go through your shadow work, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is when you go into that deep, dark, bleak place, do you really find the divine? No.
You find the absence of it.
Precisely. And I understand that there are a lot of people who would say the opposite. When I was in my darkest moment, God came to me. In my bleakest moment, I heard a voice. Let me tell you what that is. It's your fucking higher self. It's your bigger self that returns and says, wait, you are not this small. You are not this powerless. It's not God, it was you. Who is God?
I'm going to cry.
But that's the point. We have mistaken and attributed to all this stuff to God, which isn't wrong, but we forgot that we are that God, that there is no distance between us and that self. So when we go and we stare in that black hole of our pain and we see nothing until we get back to ourselves, that's the point. But it's not the return to self that where we stop. I mean, it is, because bliss is the return to self, but it's the return to the fullest self. So in the end, the divine can once again experience its fullest power, but not through the path of pain, which was separation.
It's through the path of remembering who you are.
Yeah. And that's what that younger generation is going to be reminding us, in every generation after. If they can continue to come in and have space for them, that's what they're going to remind us of. To experience God, you have to know yourself. And there is no pain where the divine resides.
This episode is brought to you by Karma Magic Bliss. For more information, resources, and links to our books, check out our website, karmamagicbliss.com, and Karma Magic Bliss across all socials.
And if you liked what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review.